A ticking time bomb for every club is about to explode the moment Chelsea set foot on the pitch this season. The question is, who's getting out alive from the arena? In this video we are going to dig deep into Enzo Maresca's master plan for his new squad, breaking down the tactics, the hidden strategies and the moves you don't see unless you're paying very close attention. From the first whistle to the last, Chelsea might not just be playing football, they might be rewriting it. And if this plan works, it won't just win games, it could go down in the history books. Is this chess or football? If you thought Chelsea were just rebuilding their squad, you might have to think again. A supercomputer has revealed Chelsea's next season, however it might not be clever enough to outsmart Enzo. Many coaches have tried, but what about a combination of Ancelotti, Pep Guardiola and Pellegrini at the same time?
How does it feel to be sat here today?
Thank you. Yeah, very happy, excited.
You've worked with so many big personalities, big managers.
Yeah.
Has that helped to shape you as a coach?
Ancelotti, Lippi, Pellegrini, all of them very important manager. I think just trust the process, trust the idea, being behind the team, and for sure we're gonna join the journey.
Chelsea sold a ton of players this transfer window, but not just to cut cost, it was to make room for others. Around 140 million net spend is actually decent when you compare it to the sheer number of players that also came in. And here's the key, this isn't shotgun spending anymore. The long-term strategy to also buy players at academy level is a clear signal. They're not just buying for today, they're building for the next decade. Chelsea still get the second place of their amount of money spent on players this transfer, just under Liverpool. Chelsea starts in a simple 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 shape. Fullbacks drift inside, midfielders drop deep. The illustration is just to show the passing between the backline until they suddenly find an opening up front between the defensive line with only few touches, which is something Chelsea are masters at. The goalkeepers always in play in build-up possession to make the opponent run the extra mile, and suddenly they're attacking with 5 players up front, leaving 2 centre backs and a fullback in the defense. This is Chelsea's famous offensive formation. The offensive is also about taking risk, but keeping up the intensity. Chelsea wants to dominate on every occasion on the pitch, which usually brings them 5 in the attacking area. Enzo Fernandez or Palmer would most likely drop down and sometimes switch places to be the extra deep-going playmaker that controls where the opportunity will happen. Last season Chelsea ranked 3rd in the Premier League for average ball possession over the entire campaign. That's not just a random stat, it's exactly the kind of control Enzo wants to double down on. Why? Because dominating the possession of the game isn't only about looking good on the ball, it's also about dictating the rhythm of the game, knowing when to slow it down or when to speed it up, and most importantly, it's about saving energy for the players. For Enzo Maresca, possession is a weapon, not for attacking, but to keep his players fresh, sharp and ready to play at full intensity. They keep possessing by building up the game slowly from their own penalty area, in which you can see Chelsea were number 1 last season when it came to building up the game from their own penalty area by the goalkeeper. They did it 84% of the times. The only team who came close was Tottenham Hotspur with 82%. It's a risky way of playing, as we saw with Tottenham last season when they had their worst Premier League campaign in 48 years. But if you master it with the right formation and use your fullbacks to stretch the pitch wide, it can open up valuable space in the middle, and that's exactly where Chelsea are brilliant. Slicing through with lethal passes between the opponent's defensive line, as we've seen so many times with either it's Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez or Palmer who drops deep to create the goal score opportunity. It requires only few touches to set this kind of play up, and if it doesn't lead to an attack, it still means Chelsea has set the advantage of building up the game with an extra space on the pitch, as they had set up the trap for their opponents. Speaking of traps, I asked in the beginning of this video, is this chess or football? I will now show you one of the most genius tactics I have ever heard. Positional chess, or more specific when it comes to Enzo Maresca, prophylactic strategy. If you're a chess player, you're probably familiar with the terms. Prophylactic strategy is about reading the game before it even happens, anticipating the opponent's plans, shutting them down before they can take shape. Instead of rushing into quick risky attacks, you slowly build your position piece by piece until the opponent is trapped with nowhere good to go. You don't win with one flashy strike, you win by controlling the tempo, forcing mistakes and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The mindset is the same all over the pitch in both build-up, attack and defending. Every move is just another step towards cornering the opponent's king without sacrificing a single important move along the way.
The reason why sometimes we drop our 9 is also to create this 5 against 4. In the moment that they decide, for instance, to jump with this player to this become free. They decide to then go with him, all the midfield. This guy is free.
With an overload of 5 in the back and 5 in the attack at the same time, Enzo has instructed his team to simply set traps for the opponent, wait for them to make a bad move and then take full advantage. Just as you would do in a game of chess, it's all about thinking long term and waiting for the right moment to deliver a checkmate. What a way to mix up 2 games with one strategy, and it becomes even more insane under Enzo Maresca. As I said, the same goes for their way of building up the game, as Chelsea would take their goalkeeper in play as the 11th man on the field and make him useful in the play. If they need an extra man in the middle, Jackson or Pedro could drag down to create an overload in the build-up possession, as it most likely would pull one of the defenders with him and hereby set up the trap by creating space for the wingers to take advantage of. Chelsea often use their wingers like rocks in chess, staying wide, waiting patiently and then striking down the flank the moment defender steps out of position. In defending transitions, one of the fullbacks would run up to be the extra midfielder.
So we defend the transition with the 5 players. The reason why we bring the fullback inside, the idea is to have an overload in the middle.
It's a risky way of playing, but if you pull it off, it often drags a lot of the opponent's players into the middle, creating that extra space out wide for the fullbacks or wingers to exploit. When Chelsea are pushed deep, you'll often see them drop into a tight 5-man defense line. Just above that, 3 midfielders rotate constantly in the central space, almost forming a moving square designed to block passing lanes and trap the opponent in confined area. It's not just about surviving the pressure, it's about setting the stage. In chess, sometimes you have to step back to protect your king, pulling your pieces into a solid defensive shape. The trick is to give up a little ground, not out of fear, but to bait your opponent into overcommitting, and once they do, that's when Chelsea strikes. Putting all those pieces together in the build-up, in attack and in defense is exactly why it's called prophylactic strategy. The midfield is where the magic usually happens, and for Chelsea that magic comes from Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez and Cole Palmer. Caicedo's the shield protecting the backline, while Enzo and Palmer are the sword, ready to cut through the opposition. It's a trio that demands insane work rate. They have to be switched on for attacks and instantly ready to defend in transition. But they can't do it alone. The wingers play a huge role here too, because Palmer can't be everywhere at once, and with Enzo Maresca's philosophy, you'll see the pitch stretched as wide as possible to open up space, but at the same time the midfield stays compact and pressed together, the perfect balance to control the game from the middle.
And what did you identify to change, tweak his position this season?
We left Cole in that side, probably was marking man-to-man for him, so the idea was to move him from the right pocket to the left pocket. So the reason why is just to try to give Cole more space.
The attacking could very well be between Gittins, Pedro and Estevao, but with the kind of depth Chelsea has, they could switch to Xavi Simons, Delap and Neto as well. We know Palmer used to drive the ball either by midfield or from the wing. Xavi covers most of the area at his side. Maresca's want Palmer to take those run in between the pitch, which we have seen so many times, but as he said, he wants him to be able to go all the way to the left side as well, and that's why Xavi Simons is so valuable, because he's also able to be a right wing and switch position during the game. Let's talk about why Xavi Simons might be the perfect missing piece for Chelsea right now. Statistically, he is right up there at the very top when it comes to expected assist and shot creation actions per 90 minutes. He's even ahead of names like Musiala, Bellingham, Pedri, Doku when it comes to combined goal assist for both club and country throughout their careers. And here's the thing, he's still only 22 years of age, he still haven't played that many games yet, and he's already putting up insane numbers. And there's still so many years for him to develop to become even better. That ability to find space between the lines and create chances is exactly what Enzo Maresca's system needs. On the other side, you've got Gittins, quick, skillful and always looking to beat his man down on the left. Together they could give Chelsea a balance of creativity and a direct threat that's been missing. But Xavi Simons gives you something else. He's always on the move, making runs inside from the wing and looking to play quick passes between the opponent's defenders. He's great at finding those pockets of space where defenders don't expect him. And he's not afraid to carry the ball forward himself. This is something Chelsea has been missing. A player who can link up the midfield with the attack. keep the ball moving in tight spaces and open up chances in the middle. Giddens is more a complete left wing player, and Xavi Simons can actually play both sides, which makes him so useful for Maresca, since he's able to switch the players around in formation and help both sides of the pitch. Xavi Simons has 5.86 progressive passes per 90 minutes, which is elite numbers, where Giddens is around 2.13. But when it comes to progressive carries, Giddens is an absolute beast. He's top 1% with 5.73, whereas Xavi Simons is at 3.56. These stats tells us the difference between the two, that Giddens is more likely to take the longer runs up the field with the ball, and Xavi is more likely to succeed in passing the ball instead. Right now, Xavi is the more complete player when it comes to attack and defense. Not to say that one of them is better than the other, they are two very different players with different approaches to the game. But put them together and you got a balance of qualities that could work brilliant for Chelsea. If we compare these two heat maps, the difference is night and day. On the left, Giddens is absolutely everywhere down the flank, pushing high, driving into the box and even drifting inside to combine half space. He's constantly asking questions of the opposition right back and stretching the pitch. On the other hand, the Xavi Simons heat map is far more limited, less depth and fewer actions all around the pitch. That's exactly why Giddens also brings something extra to the team. There are so many reasons to be excited on behalf of all Chelsea fans. The question is, how would you like the lineup for Chelsea to look like? And do you think they're finally gonna win the Premier League for the first time in 10 years? Anyways, if you like these kind of breakdowns where we talk football, give it a like or subscribe, that would help a lot. I will also be going live on YouTube to react on the biggest upcoming matches. Thank you guys for watching, vi ses.